She texted the wrong number at 3 a.m., demanding child support from her deadbeat ex. By sunrise, 3 black SUVs surrounded her house, and a voice on the phone said, "The man you texted is being hunted by forces that will kill you and your daughter to find him." When she opened the door, the Vampire King stood on her porch with an impossible offer: protection in exchange for bait. What she didn't know was that her ex had planned to kidnap her 7-year-old and use her as a human shield. What happened next would transform a desperate single mother into the one person a 500-year-old immortal couldn't live without. The phone screen glowed in Sophia Chen's trembling hands as she sat in her daughter's darkened bedroom, listening to Emma's soft breathing from the twin bed across the room. 3:47 a.m. The rent was due in 3 days. The electricity bill sat unopened on the counter, and Marcus, her ex, Emma's father, had blocked her number after their last argument. But she had his work number. The one he'd drunkenly bragged about 6 months ago, waving his new phone like a trophy. "Company phone, babe. Important job now. Real security work." She typed with shaking fingers, years of swallowed pride dissolving into desperate fury. "I know what you're doing. I know about the job. Pay what you owe for Emma, or I go to the police with everything. You have 48 hours. She hit send before she could reconsider, then immediately deleted the message thread and powered off her phone. Let him sweat. Let him wonder what she actually knew. The truth was she knew nothing except that Marcus Chin had money now, money he refused to share with his own daughter, while Emma wore shoes 2 sizes too small. Sophia pressed her palms against her eyes. Tomorrow she'd figure out the rest. Tomorrow she'd call the lawyer again, grovel for a payment plan, maybe pick up extra shifts at the diner even though her feet already ached from standing 12 hours straight. She didn't hear the cars arrive. The house stayed dark and quiet until Emma tugged her sleeve at 6:15 a.m., whispering, "Mama? There's people outside." Sophia's heart lurched. She crossed to the window, careful to stay behind the curtain. Her blood turned to ice. 3 black SUVs sat parked across her tiny lawn, their engines idling like patient predators. Men in dark suits stood at precise intervals around the property, too still, too watchful. One of them turned his head, and even from the second floor, Sophia saw his eyes catch the dim morning light like a cat's. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She'd turned it back on an hour ago, unable to sleep. Now it vibrated insistently with an unknown number. Against every instinct, she answered. "Miss Chin." The voice was male, cultured, with an accent she couldn't place, something old that had been softened by centuries, but never quite erased. "I suggest you open your front door. We have a great deal to discuss and very little time to do it." "I'm calling the police," Sophia whispered, pulling Emma close. "The police cannot help you." Not a threat, a simple statement of fact. "Your daughter is Emma, age 7. You work at Mel's Diner on 5th Street. Your ex-partner is Marcus Chin, and 23 hours ago, you sent him a text message that has placed you both in extraordinary danger." The phone nearly slipped from her hand. "How do you?" "Because the number you texted belongs to me. And the man you believe to be Marcus Chin is a thief who stole something that does not belong to him, something that several very dangerous parties would kill to possess." A pause. "They know about you now, Miss Chin. They know about Emma. Which means you have precisely 2 choices. Open the door and live, or wait for the others to arrive." "What others?" "The ones I'm currently standing between and your house." Something in his voice shifted, colder, harder. "Make your decision. My patience has limits." Sophia's mind raced through impossible calculations. Strange men outside. Stranger voice on the phone. Marcus involved in something criminal, that much she could believe. But this? Emma clutched her pajama sleeve. "Mama?" She thought of her daughter's soft breathing in the night. The way Emma still believed in heroes and happy endings because Sophia had worked so hard to shield her from the truth of their life. If these men wanted to hurt them, they would have already broken down the door. "I'm coming," Sophia said. "But if you touch my daughter." "I have no interest in harming children, Miss Chen." Quite the opposite. She dressed Emma in record time, jeans, sweater, sneakers that pinched then pulled on her own clothes with shaking hands. The gun her father had left her sat in the bedroom closet, but instinct told her bullets wouldn't matter here. Whatever this was, it operated by different rules. At the door, she held Emma behind her and turned the lock. The man on her porch didn't look like a monster. He stood 6'3" in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car, dark hair swept back from a face that belonged in a museum, all sharp angles and classical proportions that seemed too perfect for flesh and blood. His eyes were gray, the color of winter storms, and when they settled on her face, Sophia felt the weight of something ancient and vast turning its attention toward her existence. Miss Chin. He inclined his head with old-world courtesy. I am Adrian Thorne. May we come inside? No, her voice came out stronger than she felt. You tell me what's happening. Right here. His mouth curved, not quite a smile. Brave. Good. You'll need that. He glanced past her to where Emma peeked around her mother's hip. His expression softened in a way that looked unpracticed, as though the muscles of his face had forgotten how. Hello, Emma. Emma said nothing, but her small hand squeezed Sophia's. Adrian returned his attention to Sophia. 3 weeks ago, Marcus Chin was hired as a security guard at one of my properties. 2 weeks ago, he copied files from a restricted server, files containing information about my business operations, my associates, and certain irregularities in my financial network. His eyes never blinked. Yesterday, he attempted to sell those files to the Crovac syndicate. Do you know what that is? Sophia shook her head. Pray you never need to. They are a rival organization. One that does not share my scruples about collateral damage. He stepped closer, and Sophia caught a scent like winter forests, pine and snow, and something sharp underneath. When you texted Marcus's work phone, which he abandoned when he fled, my security team traced the number. The Crovac syndicate has access to the same technology. Which means as of this morning, they know you exist. They know Emma exists. And they will assume you have information about Marcus's location. I don't, Sophia said quickly. I haven't seen him in months. I believe you. They will not. Adrian's gaze flicked to the street. In approximately 40 minutes, Crovac operatives will arrive at this address. They will take you both to extract information you don't possess. When they realize this, they will kill Emma in front of you to encourage cooperation. When you still cannot tell them what you don't know, they will kill you as well. The words landed like physical blows. Sophia's vision tunneled. However, Adrian continued, if you come with me now, I can offer protection. My estate is fortified. No one enters without my permission. Why? The word came out hoarse. Why would you help us? Because you are innocent of your ex-partner's crimes. Because I do not make war on children. His jaw tightened. And because Marcus Chen's theft has created a situation that requires resolution. You may be useful in achieving that. Useful how? Marcus will surface eventually. When he does, he will attempt to contact you either to threaten you into silence or to use Emma as leverage. Adrian's eyes glittered like frost under moonlight. When that happens, I need you to help me find him. He has information that cannot be allowed to circulate. You assist me, and I ensure your safety. Both of you. Sophia looked down at Emma, who stared up at her with brown eyes too old for 7 years. Her daughter had already learned that adults lied, that promises broke, that safety was temporary. But Emma nodded. Just once. Permission. Okay, Sophia whispered. We'll come. But I want. Terms later, Adrian cut her off. Move. Now. He turned without waiting, striding down the porch steps with predatory grace. Sophia grabbed her purse, her phone, Emma's favorite stuffed rabbit, and followed. The SUV's interior smelled like leather and something indefinably expensive. Adrian sat across from them as the convoy pulled away from the curb, his attention on a tablet screen that displayed scrolling text too fast for Sophia to read. Emma pressed against her mother's side, silent and watchful. Where are we going? Sophia asked. My home. 30 minutes north. Adrian didn't look up. You'll be assigned rooms in the East Wing. Stay inside the marked boundaries. My staff will provide anything you need. Staff. I maintain a household of 17. Security, domestic, administrative. He finally raised his eyes. All vetted. All loyal. All capable of defending you should it become necessary. Sophia's throat felt tight. Just like that. She didn't believe him. Couldn't afford to. But as the city streets blurred past and Emma's breathing evened into exhausted sleep, Sophia realized she'd already made her choice the moment she opened the door. The estate materialized through morning fog like something from a Gothic novel, iron gates that swung open at their approach, a long gravel drive lined with bare winter trees, and finally the house itself. 3 stories of gray stone and tall windows that watched their arrival with dark glass eyes. Gardens stretched in geometric patterns to either side, dormant now but clearly maintained with obsessive precision. "Welcome to Thornwood," Adrian said quietly. Inside, the entrance hall soared 2 stories high, all dark wood and oil paintings of stern-faced figures in period dress. A woman in a crisp black suit appeared from a side corridor, silver hair, sharp features, eyes that assessed Sophia and Emma in a single sweeping glance. "Mrs. Vale," Adrian said. "These are our guests. East Wing, the Blue Suite. Clothes, toiletries, anything required. Schedule a medical examination for this afternoon." "Of course, sir." Mrs. Vale's voice carried the efficient warmth of a professional caretaker. She smiled at Emma. "Hello, dear. Are you hungry?" Emma looked at Sophia, who nodded. "Starving?" Emma admitted in a small voice. "Come then. We'll get you breakfast while Mr. Thorne speaks with your mother." Mrs. Vale extended a hand, and after a moment's hesitation, Emma took it. Sophia watched them disappear down a corridor, every maternal instinct screaming to follow. "She's safe here," Adrian said. "Safer than she's been in years, I suspect." The words stung because they were true. Sophia turned on him, exhausted fear transmuting into anger. "You said Marcus stole files. What kind of files? What are you really involved in?" "Financial irregularities, as I said. Corporate espionage. Industrial secrets." Adrian's expression remained neutral. "Nothing that concerns you beyond understanding that people are willing to kill for the information." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer you need." He moved past her toward a set of double doors. "Come. We should talk privately." The office beyond was all leather and dark wood, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with volumes in multiple languages. Adrian crossed to a sideboard and poured amber liquid into a crystal glass. "Drink. It's 7 in the morning. Then you're behind." He took a measured sip. "Sit, Miss Chin. You look ready to collapse." She did feel ready to collapse, but remained standing. "Tell me the truth. All of it. If my daughter's life is at risk, I deserve to know why." Adrian regarded her for a long moment, something like respect flickering across his features. Then he set down his glass with deliberate care. "Very well. The truth." He moved to the window, hands clasped behind his back. "I am 543 years old. I was made vampire in 1481 in what is now Romania. I have led the Eastern Coven for the last 2 centuries, maintaining peace between my kind and the human world through careful balance and discretion." He turned. "The files Marcus stole contain evidence of that world. Names, locations, financial structures. Information that, in the wrong hands, would start a war that would consume thousands of human lives." Silence stretched between them. Sophia waited for the punchline, the reveal that this was an elaborate joke or a test or a breakdown. Adrian remained perfectly still, eyes steady on hers. "Vampire," Sophia repeated flatly. "Yes. You're insane. I'm ancient. There's a difference." He moved with sudden inhuman speed, crossing the room to stand directly in front of her. She hadn't seen him move, he was simply there, close enough that she could see her reflection in his gray eyes. "Your pulse jumped from 68 to 94 beats per minute. You're wearing perfume, jasmine and vanilla, cheap but pleasant. There's a scar on your left shoulder from a burn when you were 9 years old. Shall I continue?" Sophia stumbled backward. Adrian let her retreat, making no move to follow. "The Krovac Syndicate is led by vampires who believe our kind should rule openly, with humans as cattle. They've been seeking evidence of our existence to trigger public revelation, believing chaos will give them opportunity to seize power." His voice remained measured, as though discussing market trends. "Marcus's stolen files give them that evidence. which means they'll do anything to recover them and eliminate anyone who might have seen the contents. This is Sophia's mind spun. This can't be real. And yet here you are, in my home, protected by my people. Adrian poured another drink and held it out. I won't force you to believe. But I will keep you alive. The why of it matters less than the fact. She took the glass with shaking hands and drained it in one burning swallow. The alcohol hit her system like a blow, steadying and disorienting at once. Emma, she managed. You said she's safe. I give you my word. While you're under my protection, no harm will come to either of you. Something shifted in his expression, a shadow of old pain. I know what it is to lose what matters most. I will not be responsible for inflicting that on another. The sincerity in his voice made her throat tight. Sophia set down the glass before she dropped it. So what now? We just wait for Marcus to call. You rest. You let your daughter settle. Tonight, we'll discuss strategy. Adrian moved toward the door, then paused. One more thing, Miss Chin. While you're here, do not go outside after dark without escort. Do not enter the West Wing under any circumstances. And if you see someone you don't recognize, find me or Mrs. Vale immediately. Understand? Sophia nodded, too overwhelmed to argue. Good. He opened the door. Mrs. Vale will show you to your rooms. Try to eat something. He left without waiting for response, his footsteps silent on the marble floors despite his size. Sophia stood alone in the office for several long minutes, trying to process the impossible conversation. Vampires. Covens. Ancient wars and stolen secrets. It sounded like something from Emma's bedtime storybooks. But the fear in Adrian Thorne's eyes when he'd mentioned the Krovac syndicate, that had been real. And the speed with which he'd moved, the inhuman precision of his observations. She pressed her hands against her face and tried not to scream. Mrs. Vale found her that way, gently guiding her toward the East Wing where Emma waited, already exploring their new rooms with cautious 7-year-old wonder. The suite was larger than their entire apartment, a bedroom for each of them, a sitting area with plush furniture, and a bathroom with a tub deep enough to swim in. Mama, look. Emma bounced on her bed, which was covered in a cloud-soft duvet. It's so fluffy. Sophia managed to smile. Pretty nice, huh? Are we going to live here now? Just for a little while, baby. Until things are safe. Emma's face grew serious. Because of Daddy? The question landed like a punch. Sophia sat beside her daughter, smoothing dark hair back from a worried face that looked so much like Marcus it hurt. Daddy made some mistakes, she said carefully. Mr. Thorne is helping us stay safe while those mistakes get fixed. Is Mr. Thorne nice? Sophia thought of gray eyes and impossible claims, and the absolute certainty in his voice when he'd promised protection. I think so, she said finally. I think he's trying to be. That seemed to satisfy Emma, who returned to exploring while Sophia unpacked their meager belongings, 3 days' worth of clothes, Emma's rabbit, the small jewelry box that held her mother's wedding ring. Everything she owned in the world fit in 2 plastic bags. She was standing at the window, watching fog curl through the gardens, when her phone rang. Marcus. Her hands shook as she answered. Hello. Sophia. Jesus Christ, Sophia, are you okay? Marcus's voice came fast and panicked. Where are you? Where's Emma? Where am I? Fury ignited, burning through fear. Where are you, Marcus? What the hell did you do? Listen to me. Whatever they told you, it's a lie. I didn't steal anything, I was framed. Thorne is dangerous, sophomore. He's going to kill you to send me a message. You left us with nothing. Our daughter needed shoes and you were too busy doing God knows what. I was trying to make money for us. To give Emma a better life. Static crackled. Look, none of that matters now. Just tell me where you are. I'll come get you. We'll figure this out together. You blocked my number, Marcus. You haven't sent a penny in child support for 9 months. I know, I fucked up. His voice dropped, turned pleading. But I love you, sophomore. I love Emma. Let me make this right. Please. Just tell me where Thorne took you. Sophia's finger hovered over the end call button. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, that Marcus had never loved her enough to choose her over himself. I need to think, she said. There's no time to think. They're going to use you as bait, don't you see? Get out of there. Take Emma and run. Run where, Marcus? I have $300 in my bank account. I'll wire you money. 10,000. 20. Enough to disappear. Just get Emma somewhere safe and... You have $20,000? The words came out strangled. You have that kind of money and you let us struggle? Silence on the line. Then, it's complicated. Fuck you, Sophia whispered, and hung up. She was still shaking when Adrian appeared in the doorway, no knock, just suddenly present in that unnerving way of his. He called, she said before he could speak. I know. We were monitoring. Adrian stepped inside, closing the door. What did he say? That you're going to kill us. That he was framed. That he loves Emma and wants to help. She laughed, a broken sound. Oh, and he offered me $20,000 to tell him where we are. Something dangerous flickered across Adrian's face. Did you? No, she met his eyes. But I want to know the truth. All of it. You said Marcus's theft would start a war. What else aren't you telling me? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then he crossed to the window, looking out at the fog-shrouded grounds. The files Marcus stole contain proof of vampire existence, he said slowly. Bank records showing impossible age spans on accounts. Property deeds dating back centuries. Surveillance footage from my security systems showing abilities that cannot be explained by human science. He turned. But they also contain something more dangerous, a list of safe houses where human families under my protection currently live. Sophia's breath caught. Families? Witnesses. Refugees from Crovac attacks. Children born to mixed parentage. Over the years, I've helped those who needed shelter disappear into new lives. His jaw tightened. If Crovac gets those locations, they'll slaughter everyone there to prove a point. 63 people. 17 of them children under age 10. The weight of it settled over the room like a physical presence. Sophia sank onto the edge of Emma's bed. Marcus has that information? He has everything. The question is whether he's stupid enough to think he can sell it without consequences. Adrian moved closer, his voice dropping. Which is where you become vital, Miss Chen. Marcus will contact you again. When he does, he'll try to arrange a meeting either to see Emma or to convince you to help him disappear. We use that meeting to recover the files. You want me to set him up? I want you to help me prevent a massacre. His eyes bored into hers. Marcus made his choices. Those 63 people made none. Your daughter deserves to grow up in a world where she doesn't have to fear things that hunt in the dark. And after? Sophia's voice came out smaller than she intended. After you get the files and deal with Marcus, what happens to us? You choose. New identities, new city, enough money to start over anywhere you wish. Or, he hesitated, something uncertain crossing his features. Or you stay here. Under my protection. Permanently. Why would we do that? Because you've seen too much. Because Crovac may seek revenge even after this is resolved. Because he stopped himself, turning away. Because I find I prefer not to send you back to a life of struggling alone. The admission seemed to cost him something. Sophia stared at his rigid shoulders, at the tension in his hands where they gripped the window frame. You're lonely, she said quietly. I'm practical. But he didn't turn around. Think about it. In the meantime, rest. Tonight we'll make plans. He left before she could respond, the door closing with a soft click that somehow felt like an ending. Sophia lay down beside Emma, who'd fallen asleep hugging her rabbit, and tried to imagine a future where any of this made sense. Vampires and secret wars, and a man who claimed to be 500 years old offering her sanctuary. The strangest part was that she believed him. Not because she understood it. Not because it made sense. But because when Adrian Thorne had promised to protect Emma, something ancient and absolute in his voice had resonated with a mother's instinct. He meant it. Whatever else he was, monster, guardian, lonely creature pretending at humanity, he meant it. That would have to be enough. The estate settled into afternoon quiet, fog giving way to weak winter sun that cast long shadows through the tall windows. Sophia woke to find Emma gone, then followed the sound of laughter to the kitchen. Her daughter sat at a massive wooden table, surrounded by what could only be Adrian's staff, Mrs. Vale directing food preparation, A younger woman with red hair teaching Emma to fold napkins into swans. A massive man in chef's whites cutting fruit into elaborate shapes. They all looked up when Sophia entered, their smiles warm but their eyes watchful. "Mama." Emma held up a paper swan. "Look what Miss Claire taught me." "That's beautiful, baby." Sophia accepted coffee from Mrs. Vale, grateful for the normalcy of the gesture. "I hope she's not bothering everyone." "Not at all," Mrs. Vale said. "It's lovely having a child in the house again." Again. The word hung in the air, weighted with history Sophia didn't know. She drank her coffee and watched Emma laugh, and something in her chest loosened slightly. These people vampire servants? Human employees, treated her daughter with genuine affection. Fed her. Made her smile. Did things Marcus had never bothered to do even when they'd lived together. The red-haired woman, Claire, caught Sophia watching and gave a small, knowing smile. "Mr. Thorne is protective of those under his care," she said quietly. "Your daughter will be safe here. We all will make certain of that." "Why?" Sophia couldn't help asking. "Why does he care so much?" Claire's smile turned sad. "Because he remembers what it's like to be helpless. And he's spent centuries trying to atone for it." Before Sophia could ask what that meant, Adrian himself appeared in the doorway. He'd changed into dark jeans and a fitted black shirt that made him look younger, more human, until you met his eyes and saw the weight of centuries staring back. "Miss Chin." A moment. She followed him to a study lined with more books than she'd seen outside a library. He gestured to a chair, then settled behind the desk with a tablet. Marcus called again. 3 times in the last hour. We didn't answer. He turned the tablet to show her call logs. He's growing desperate. That's good. Good. Desperate men make mistakes. Which means he'll offer you something irresistible to force a meeting. Adrian's fingers moved across the screen. I need you to answer next time. Tell him you want to talk in person. Somewhere public, daytime. You choose the location. Sophia's stomach clenched. And then my people will be watching. We let him make his pitch, and when he reveals the file's location, or better yet, brings them to show proof, we take him. His voice stayed level, professional. You and Emma will be elsewhere. Safe. You're going to kill him. I'm going to recover stolen property and neutralize a threat. Adrian looked up. What happens to Marcus after that depends entirely on how cooperative he chooses to be. He's Emma's father. He's a thief who put his daughter in mortal danger for profit. No judgment in the words, just fact. But I understand your conflict, Miss Chen. Which is why I'm giving you the choice. Help me end this quickly and cleanly, or watch it spiral into violence that may claim innocent lives, including Emma's. Your call. Put like that, there was no choice at all. Okay, Sophia whispered. I'll do it. Good. Adrian stood, moving to a cabinet where he retrieved a small box. Inside was a phone, sleek, black, expensive. Use this to communicate with Marcus. It's encrypted and monitored. Anything he says, I'll hear. Any location data, we'll track. She took the phone with numb fingers. When? Now. Call him. Tell him you want to meet tomorrow. Tell him. Adrian paused, considering. Tell him you're scared and you need money to run. Play to his ego. Let him think he's convincing you. You want me to lie. I want you to survive. His eyes softened fractionally. Can you do that, Miss Chen? Can you be what you need to be to protect your daughter? Sophia thought of all the times she'd smiled through exhaustion, pretended everything was fine, swallowed her pride to keep Emma fed and sheltered. She'd been acting her whole adult life. Yes, she said. I can do that. Adrian nodded approval, something like respect in his expression. Then make the call. I'll be listening. She dialed with shaking hands. Marcus answered on the first ring. Sophia. Thank God. Are you okay? Is Emma. We're fine. But you're right. I need to get out of here. She forced her voice to tremble. Adrian's been asking questions about you. About where you might go. I think he's going to use us as leverage. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Marcus's voice pitched higher with vindication. Listen, I have money. Lots of it. Enough for all 3 of us to disappear. New identities, new country, whatever you want. How much? 200,000. Cash. I can give it to you tomorrow. The number staggered her. Sophia caught Adrian's eye, saw him nod slightly. I want to see it, she said. I want to see you're not lying. Of course. Where? When? Tomorrow. Noon. The fountain in Riverside Park. Bring the money. She swallowed hard. Bring proof you can really get us out. I will. I promise, sophomore. We're going to be a family again. Me, you, Emma, somewhere safe where nobody can touch us. His voice went soft, persuasive. I never stopped loving you, you know. Everything I did was for us. Tomorrow, she repeated, and ended the call. Her hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. Adrian took it from her, setting it aside with deliberate care. Well done, he said quietly. That was convincing. I feel sick. That means you're human. Good. Hold on to that. He moved to pour water from a crystal decanter, pressing the glass into her hands. Drink. Breathe. The hard part is over. She drank, the water cold and clean. What happens tomorrow? You don't go. I send someone who looks like you from a distance. When Marcus realizes the deception, my people move in. Adrian returned to his desk. You and Emma will be here, behind walls he cannot breach. By sunset tomorrow, this will be finished. Just like that. Just like that. But something in his expression suggested it wouldn't be quite so simple. Sophia set down the glass. What aren't you telling me? Adrian was quiet for a long moment, his gaze distant. Then he sighed, a sound that seemed to carry centuries of weariness. The Krovac Syndicate will be watching Marcus as closely as we are. They know he's the key to the files. Which means tomorrow's meeting won't just be my people and Marcus. His gray eyes met hers. It will be a battleground. And battles have casualties. People will die. People will die regardless. The question is how many and who. He stood, moving to the window. I've lived a long time, Miss Chen. Long enough to know that sometimes the only choice is between bad and worse. I'm choosing the option that keeps you and Emma alive. That's all. That's not all, Sophia said slowly. You care. About those families in safe houses. About us. You're not as cold as you pretend. Adrian's shoulders tensed. Careful, Miss Chen. It's dangerous to romanticize monsters. Is that what you are? A monster? He turned, and for a moment his face showed something raw and unguarded, pain so old it had calcified into permanent scar tissue. Yes, he said simply. I've killed thousands. Fed on innocence. Destroyed lives because I could, because I was stronger and they were weak. The restraint I practice now doesn't erase 5 centuries of atrocity. But you're trying. To be better. To protect instead of destroy. Sophia took a step closer. That counts for something. Does it? He laughed, bitter and self-mocking. I'm using you as bait to trap your ex-partner. I've brought you into a world of violence that will likely traumatize your daughter. I'm a predator playing at civilization, and you're the prey I've decided to keep safe because it suits my purposes. Don't mistake strategy for virtue. You gave me a choice, Sophia countered. You could have compelled me or threatened me or just taken what you needed. But you didn't. You asked. That has to mean something. Adrian stared at her, something shifting in his expression, surprise, maybe, or recognition. You're either very brave or very foolish, Miss Chen. I'm a single mother who worked 3 jobs to keep my daughter fed. I've been brave and foolish for years. She held his gaze. But I know when someone is trying to do right by me. Thank you. For protecting Emma. For caring enough to try. Silence stretched between them, heavy with words neither could quite speak. Then Adrian nodded once, sharp and final, and turned away. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be difficult regardless of the outcome. He moved toward the door, then paused. And Miss Chen? For what it's worth, Emma is lucky to have you. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. He was gone before she could respond, leaving her alone with the weight of impossible truths and a gratitude she didn't know how to name. That evening, Sophia found herself unable to sleep despite exhaustion. She wandered the East Wing's corridors, marveling at oil paintings and antique furniture that whispered of centuries past. Through tall windows, the grounds stretched silver under moonlight, beautiful and alien. She found Adrian on a stone terrace, standing at the balustrade and staring into the darkness beyond the estate's walls. He didn't turn when she approached, but his voice cut through the cold air. You should be resting. So should you. I don't sleep much anymore. Centuries of insomnia. Sophia leaned against the stone, careful to maintain distance. The night smelled like winter and possibility. What happens after tomorrow? Really? I told you. You choose your future. And if I choose to stay here? That made him turn, gray eyes unreadable in the moonlight. Why would you? Because Emma laughed today. Because your staff treated us like family instead of burdens. Because for the first time in years, I felt she struggled for words. Safe. Protected. Like maybe I didn't have to do everything alone. Adrian's expression softened into something that looked like pain. That feeling is temporary, Miss Chin. What I can offer is security, resources, a place in my household. But it comes with a cost. You would live in a world where darkness is literal, where the things that hunt cannot be escaped by daylight. Emma would grow up knowing monsters are real. She already knows, Sophia said quietly. Marcus taught her that. At least your monsters are honest about what they are. Something flickered across Adrian's face, surprise, then something deeper. He moved closer, the space between them shrinking to inches. You see too much, he murmured. It's dangerous. Then stop giving me things to see. Her heart hammered, but she held her ground. You said you're a monster. Prove it. Send us away. Stop caring whether we live or die. I can't. The admission seemed torn from him. I looked at your daughter and saw. He stopped, jaw working. Someone I failed to save a long time ago. I looked at you and saw courage I haven't witnessed in decades. You walked into danger to protect Emma. You called a number that terrified you because you were desperate enough to risk anything. His hand lifted, almost touching her face before falling. I can't send you back to that life. I won't. Then let us stay. Sophia's voice came out barely a whisper. After tomorrow. Let us stay. Even knowing what I am? Especially knowing what you are. She managed a small smile. Besides, you have a really nice bathtub. Adrian laughed, a real laugh, surprised and genuine, that transformed his severe features into something warmer. Then his expression shuddered again, control reasserting itself. Get some sleep, Sophia Chen. Tomorrow you'll need your strength. He used her first name like a gift. Sophia nodded and turned back toward her rooms, feeling his eyes on her until she disappeared around a corner. In her bed, she stared at the ceiling and tried to make sense of feelings that had no right to exist. Gratitude, yes. Relief. But underneath, something more complex, a pull toward the lonely creature who commanded armies but stood alone on terraces watching the dark. She fell asleep thinking of gray eyes and winter forests and the sound of real laughter. Morning came too fast and too slow. Sophia dressed carefully, then helped Emma pick clothes for a day she was promised would be boring but safe. Mrs. Vale had planned activities, baking, garden exploration, a promised visit to the estate's library, which apparently contained a collection of children's books in a dozen languages. You're not coming? Emma asked, picking up on her mother's tension. I have to talk to some of Mr. Thorne's friends, Sophia lied. Grown-up stuff. Super boring. Is Daddy going to call again? The question stabbed. Sophia knelt, taking her daughter's small hands. Maybe. Would you want to talk to him? Emma thought about it with 7-year-old seriousness. Will he say sorry? I don't know, baby. Then no. Emma's face set in determined lines. He should say sorry first. To you. For making you cry. Sophia's throat closed. She pulled Emma close, breathing in the scent of children's shampoo and innocence she'd fight to preserve. I love you. You know that, right? Everything I do is to keep you safe. I know, Mama. Small arms squeezed tight. I love you too. Mrs. Vale collected Emma after breakfast, giving Sophia a reassuring nod. Then Sophia was alone with Adrian in his study, watching the clock tick toward noon. He'd assembled a team, 6 people in tactical gear who looked human, but moved with the same predatory grace. Claire was among them, her red hair pulled back, a dangerous smile on her lips. Marcus will have backup, Adrian explained, pointing to a tablet displaying Riverside Park's layout. At least 3 Krovac operatives, possibly more. We'll have people positioned here, here, and here. Red dots marked locations. When Marcus realizes it's not you, Krovac will move. We contain them, extract Marcus, recover the files. What if it goes wrong? Sophia asked. Then we improvise. His voice carried absolute confidence. But it won't go wrong. I've been doing this for centuries. Comforting. His mouth curved slightly. Trust me, Miss Chin. By sunset, you'll be free. The team departed at 11, moving with military precision. Adrian stayed behind, monitoring feeds from multiple cameras his people had positioned around the park. Sophia sat beside him, watching grainy footage of the fountain where Marcus would arrive expecting her. At 11:47, a figure approached Claire, wearing Sophia's jacket and a wig that matched her dark hair. From a distance, the resemblance was uncanny. At 11:52, Marcus appeared. Sophia's breath caught. He looked thin, nervous, carrying a duffel bag that he clutched too tightly. Her ex-partner. Emma's father. The man who'd promised her forever and delivered abandonment. She watched him scan the area, then approach Claire with visible relief. Can't hear them, Adrian murmured, adjusting controls. But he's talking. Probably his practice speech about family and starting over. Claire responded, her body language uncertain and afraid, a perfect imitation of Sophia's earlier fear. Marcus reached for her arm. That's when everything went wrong. 3 men materialized from the crowd, too fast, too coordinated. One grabbed Claire. Another went for Marcus's bag. The third drew something that glinted silver in the weak sun. Krovac, Adrian breathed, and his people moved. The park erupted into chaos. Screaming pedestrians scattered as Adrian's team closed in, moving with inhuman speed. Claire twisted free, her wig flying off as she struck her attacker with enough force to send him crashing into the fountain. Marcus dropped the bag and ran. Idiot, Adrian snarled. He's running straight toward. A 4th Krovac operative stepped from behind a tree, directly into Marcus's path. Sophia watched in horror as her ex-partner was lifted off his feet, dangling like a toy in the man's grip. Adrian was already moving, the door slamming behind him as he disappeared. On screen, he materialized in the park, one moment absent, the next simply there, pulling Marcus free and hurling the Krovac operative across 30 feet of grass. The fight that followed lasted less than 3 minutes, but felt eternal. Adrian moved like violence made elegant, every motion economical and devastating. His team worked in concert, taking down Krovac operatives with ruthless efficiency. Claire recovered the dropped duffel bag while 2 others secured Marcus, who'd collapsed and was screaming something inaudible. Then it was over. Police sirens wailed in the distance, human authorities drawn by the disturbance, but too late to witness anything supernatural. Adrian's people vanished like smoke, taking Marcus and the Krovac prisoners with them. The feed went dark. Sophia sat frozen, her heart thundering. She'd watched Adrian fight. Had seen what he truly was when the careful humanity fell away, a predator of predators, ancient and unstoppable. She should be terrified. She felt strangely calm. An hour later, Adrian returned. Blood flecked his shirt, not his own, Sophia suspected, and his eyes carried a grim satisfaction. We have him, he said. We have the files. Krovac operatives are contained in the West Wing cells. It's over. Marcus, alive. Coherent enough to confess everything. Adrian moved to pour himself a drink, downing it in one swallow. He was planning to use Emma. The words landed like a physical blow. What? After he sold the files to Krovac, the plan was to kidnap Emma. Use her as a human shield against both sides, insurance that neither I nor Krovac would kill him. Adrian's voice went flat. He had paperwork prepared. Forged custody documents. A safe house lined up. He was going to take her tonight. Sophia couldn't breathe. He was going to take your daughter and disappear while Krovac killed you to eliminate a witness. Adrian set down his glass with careful control. I'm sorry. I know he's Emma's father. But he was willing to sacrifice you both for his own survival. I want to see him. Sophia. I want to see him. Her voice came out hard. Now. Adrian studied her, then nodded. Come with me. The West Wing was nothing like the comfortable East Side. Stone corridors, heavy doors with complicated locks, the smell of damp and old blood. Marcus sat in a cell that looked medieval: stone walls, iron bars, a single light source casting shadows across his battered face. He looked up when they entered, his expression cycling through relief, fear, and desperation in rapid succession. Sophia, thank God. Tell them you forgive me. Tell them we can work this out. Did you plan to kidnap Emma? Her voice stayed level. What? No, they're lying, sophomore. I would never. Did you plan to take our daughter and use her as a hostage? Each word fell like a stone. Marcus's face crumpled. I was going to keep her safe. You don't understand the pressure I was under. These people, they would have killed me. I needed insurance. You were going to let them kill me. I thought they'd just take you for questioning. I didn't know. He reached through the bars. Sophia, please. I fucked up. I know I fucked up. But I'm still Emma's father. You can't let them kill me. No, Sophia said quietly. I can't. Because Emma deserves better than having a murdered father, even a worthless one. She turned to Adrian. But I don't want him anywhere near us. Ever. Whatever deal you make, that's the condition. He stays away. Adrian nodded. Agreed. He'll be relocated. New identity, new continent. Any attempt to contact you or Emma results in immediate termination of the arrangement. No. Marcus lunged at the bars. You can't send me away from my daughter. You lost that right when you planned to use her as a shield. Sophia's voice stayed cold. Goodbye, Marcus. I hope you find whatever you're looking for. But you won't find it with us. She walked away without looking back, Adrian following. Behind them, Marcus screamed promises and threats and pleas that faded into the stone walls. In the corridor, Sophia sagged against the wall, shaking. Breathe, Adrian said softly, his hand settling warm between her shoulder blades. You did well. I chose this, she whispered. I chose him. I brought him into Emma's life. You chose based on incomplete information. He chose to become what he is. Adrian's thumb traced small circles against her spine, comforting, grounding. The fault is his, not yours. How do I tell Emma? The truth. Age-appropriate version. Her father made dangerous choices and has to go away for a long time. He hesitated. For what it's worth, she'll be better off without him. Children know when they're loved. Marcus loved only himself. Sophia turned to face him. And you? What do you love? The question seemed to catch him off guard. His hand fell away, expression closing. I'm not capable of love, Miss Chen. That died long ago. Liar. She held his gaze. You love those families you've protected. You love your staff. You loved someone once, loved them enough that losing them broke something inside you. She took a step closer. Let me stay. Let Emma and me stay. Let us be part of what you're protecting. You don't know what you're asking. Then tell me. Show me. But stop pushing us away because you've decided you don't deserve connection. Her voice softened. We all deserve connection, Adrian. Even ancient vampires with terrible pasts. For a long moment he said nothing, just stared at her with an expression that looked like hope warring with fear. Then his hand lifted, cupping her face with impossible gentleness. 3 weeks, he said hoarsely. Stay for 3 weeks. If you still want to remain after that, after you've seen what life here truly entails, then we'll discuss permanence. He nodded, and something in his severe face softened into cautious warmth. Then we choose. The 3 weeks that followed taught Sophia more about herself than the previous 7 years combined. She learned that Adrian's household operated like a small kingdom, 17 staff members who were a mix of human employees and vampires sworn to his service. She learned that work meant navigating vampire politics, mediating disputes between covens, and maintaining the delicate balance that kept the supernatural world hidden from human awareness. She learned that Adrian had been turned during a plague outbreak, watching his entire family die before being offered immortality by a passing vampire who'd found his grief entertaining. She learned he'd spent his first century as a monster, then his second trying to become something else. She learned he'd lost a human partner 100 years ago, a woman he'd loved who'd grown old and died while he remained unchanged. She learned his restraint was practiced, not natural. That he still wanted blood and violence but chose patience instead. That he spent hours each day in a meditation chamber, reinforcing the control that kept him civilized. She learned he was lonely despite his power. That he'd convinced himself he didn't deserve companionship. That he was terrified of caring again because loss had nearly destroyed him before. And Emma thrived. Her daughter bloomed in the safety of Thornwood, making friends with the staff, learning 3 languages from Mrs. Vale, spending hours in the library reading stories about heroes and magic. She asked Adrian endless questions about his age, his abilities, whether he sparkled. He did not. If he really drank blood, yes, but from willing donors who visited the estate monthly, with the fearless curiosity of a child who'd decided he was safe. Mr. Adrian, Emma asked one evening at dinner, if you're so old, how come you don't have kids? The table went silent. Adrian set down his wine glass with careful precision. I was never granted that opportunity, he said finally. My turning happened before I could marry or have children of my own. That's sad. Emma frowned. Everyone should have kids if they want them. Kids are awesome. You're quite right. They are. His eyes flicked to Sophia, something soft in his expression. Perhaps I'm lucky enough to know some. Emma beamed and returned to her meal, oblivious to the weight of the moment. But Sophia understood. She saw the longing carefully buried, the resignation that he'd exist forever without the simple joys of family. That night, she found him in the library, reading by firelight. She'd be lucky to have you as a father figure, Sophia said quietly. Adrian looked up, shadows and flame dancing across his features. I'm a poor substitute for human normalcy. She's had human normalcy. It came in the form of Marcus. Sophia moved closer, settling into the chair beside his. Emma needs what you've shown her: protection without control, honesty without cruelty. Someone who sees her value and helps her grow into it. And what about you? His voice dropped. What do you need, Sophia? I needed someone to choose me. To see that I'm more than a struggling single mother. To believe I'm worth protecting even when I can't pay you back. She met his eyes. You've given me that. Now I'm trying to figure out what comes next. Has it been 3 weeks already? 2 weeks and 4 days. But who's counting? Adrian smiled, genuine, unguarded, and Sophia's breath caught at the transformation it wrought. You could leave, he said. Take the money and fresh start. Build a life without vampires and ancient politics and the constant undercurrent of danger. I could, she agreed. Or I could stay and build a life that includes all of those things, but also includes you. Your staff. This place. Emma being happy. She leaned forward. I'm not afraid of your world anymore, Adrian. I'm only afraid of going back to mine. He set aside his book, his full attention settling on her with the weight of centuries. If you stay, there will be challenges. Vampire society will question my decision to harbor humans. Enemies will use you against me. Emma will grow up knowing things no child should have to know. And she'll grow up safe, educated, surrounded by people who care about her welfare. Sophia held his gaze. I've spent years trying to do everything alone. I'm tired, Adrian. I'm so tired of fighting by myself. Let me stay. Let us be your family. Not as charity cases, but as people you care about who care about you back. I do, he said hoarsely. Care about you. Both of you. More than is wise. Then be unwise with us. She reached across the space between them, taking his hand. His skin was cool, marble smooth. Be unwise and alive and part of something that matters. You've spent centuries trying to atone. Maybe it's time to just live. Adrian's fingers tightened around hers, a tremor running through his rigid control. If I do this, if I let you stay, I need you to understand something. I am possessive of what's mine. Protective to the point of violence. I will not share you with the world, and I will destroy anything that threatens your safety. His gray eyes burned. I am not a safe choice, Sophia. I am the dangerous one you choose anyway. Good. She smiled. Safe hasn't gotten me anywhere. I'll take dangerous and devoted. He pulled her into his lap with the sudden movement of a predator, and her breath caught. This close, she could see the inhuman stillness of him, no heartbeat, no rise and fall of breath, just ancient awareness focused entirely on her. "Say it again," he murmured against her temple. "Tell me you're choosing this." "I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing all of it, the danger, the politics, the blood and battles, and everything you think should scare me away." Her hand cupped his face. "I see you, Adrian Thorne. Not the monster. Not the king. Just you. And I'm not leaving." He kissed her then, gentle at first, testing, then deeper as she responded. His control frayed at the edges, revealing the intensity beneath. When they broke apart, his eyes had darkened to storm cloud gray. 3 weeks, he said roughly. "Let's call it 3 weeks. You're staying." "We're staying," she corrected. "Emma and me. Your family, if you'll have us." Something in his expression broke and reformed into wonder. "My family," he repeated, as though testing the words. "Yes. All right. My family." They sat in the firelight, her head against his shoulder, his arms wrapped around her with a gentleness that contradicted his strength. Outside, night settled over Thornwood, but inside, something new and fragile began to grow. Downstairs, Emma slept in her cloud-soft bed, safe and loved and unaware that her life had just changed forever. Mrs. Vale walked the corridors, checking locks and drawing curtains. The staff moved through their evening routines, preparing for another day of protecting the peculiar household their master had assembled. And in the West Wing, Marcus Chin sat in his cell, waiting for the transport that would take him to a new life and new name on a different continent. He'd lost everything, daughter, lover, future, but he'd live. That would have to be enough. 6 months later, Sophia stood in Thornwood's garden, watching Emma race through the maze of hedges with Claire in pursuit. Her daughter's laughter echoed off stone walls, bright and fearless. "She's grown 3 inches, Adrian observed, appearing at Sophia's side with the silent grace she'd learned to expect. "We'll need to order more clothes. We always need more clothes. She's 7. Sophia leaned into him, accepting the arm he wrapped around her waist. "Mrs. Vale thinks we should hire a tutor. Someone who can keep up with her." "Mrs. Vale is right. I'll make inquiries." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "Though at the rate she's learning, she may be teaching me soon." Sophia laughed. 500 years old and threatened by a second grader. "She asked me yesterday how to say, 'I want cookies' in 7 languages. I only know 6. He sounded genuinely perturbed. "It's humbling." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching Emma play. The estate had become home in ways Sophia never expected, not just a place of safety, but a community. She'd taken on administrative duties, helping Mrs. Vale manage the household and coordinate with the families in Adrian's protection network. She'd learned the politics of vampire society, the careful diplomacy required to maintain peace between factions. She'd found purpose beyond survival. And Emma had found something Sophia never could have given her alone: stability, education, and a father figure who treated her like she mattered. "Council wants to meet her," Adrian said quietly. "They're still not convinced a human child should be raised among us." "Let them meet her. She'll win them over in 5 minutes." "Sophia." "She'll win them over," Sophia repeated firmly. "Because she's brilliant and charming and she makes you smile. They'll see what we see, that having her here makes us better, not weaker." Adrian was quiet for a moment. "Then, you make me better. Both of you." I'd forgotten what it felt like to have something to protect. Be good. Be selfish more often. She pulled back, grinning. "Now come on. Emma wants you to judge her race with Claire. Apparently there's a trophy involved." "A trophy?" "She made it in art class. It's a painted rock that says, 'Best runner forever.' Very official." Adrian laughed. The sound still surprised him, she knew, as though joy was a language he'd forgotten and was slowly relearning. "Then we'd better not keep her waiting." They walked together toward the maze, toward the sound of laughter and games and normal childhood chaos. Emma burst from the hedges, Claire right behind her, and launched herself at Adrian with complete confidence that he'd catch her. He did, swinging her up with inhuman ease. "I hear there's a race to judge." "The most important race ever," Emma declared seriously. Are you ready? More ready than I've been for anything in centuries, Adrian said, and meant it. Sophia watched them, her daughter, and this ancient creature who'd learned to be gentle again, and felt her heart expand with impossible gratitude. They'd started with a wrong number and a desperate text. They'd survived betrayal and violence and forces that hunted in darkness. And they'd chosen each other. Not because it was easy. Not because it made sense. But because some families weren't born, they were built from courage and need and the willingness to see past surface to substance. Come on, Mama, Emma called. You have to watch too. Sophia joined them, settling onto a stone bench while Emma and Claire lined up for their race. Adrian sat beside her, his hand finding hers, cool fingers lacing through warm ones. No regrets? He asked quietly. Not a single one, she said. And as Emma raced through the garden and Claire pretended to struggle to keep up, Sophia Chen, former struggling single mother, current partner to a vampire king, smiled at the impossible life she'd claimed. She'd been told monsters weren't real. She'd learned they were. But she'd also learned that monsters could choose to be more. That ancient creatures could learn new ways of being. That families were made not by blood but by the choice to stay, to fight, to protect each other through darkness. The sun set behind Thornwood's walls, painting the sky in shades of amber and crimson. Night came, as it always did. But inside the estate, lights glowed warm and steady. Emma won her race by a mile. Adrian presented the painted rock trophy with solemn ceremony. Mrs. Vale appeared with hot chocolate and cookies. The household gathered in the kitchen, laughing and warm and alive. And Sophia looked around at the family she'd found by accident and kept by choice and knew this was what she'd been searching for all along. Not safety. Not wealth. Not even love, though she'd found that too. She'd been searching for home. And home, it turned out, was wherever people chose to protect each other. To see each other's worth. To build something beautiful from broken pieces. Home was here. With them. Forever. The story that had started with a desperate text and a wrong number ended with a choice made every day. To stay, to love, to be family despite all odds. Some mistakes, Sophia learned, turned out to be the best decisions of your life. And some monsters turned out to be exactly what you needed all along.